In many films, when a man and woman meet for the first time and take an instant dislike to each other, you can usually bet they're going to fall in love later on. Think of Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth in Pride and Prejudice, Mia and Sebastian in La La Land, and so many romantic movies, not that I watch many of them, but it's a thing. Lovers who hate each other at first is a bit of a known trope. It makes for a good story to see people overcome prejudice and dislike to find the good in each other and eventually feel attracted and fall in love. It's also what we see happen in the Gospel, which we read this weekend, of Jesus meeting with the Samaritan woman by the well. Because although Jesus, of course, has love for this woman because it is his nature to always love, the woman at first was not having a bar of him. When Jesus introduces himself and asks for a drink of water, a pretty simple request, her response is, "I'm a Samaritan, you're a Jew, and we don't talk to Jews around here." It's pretty stark, so her rebuttal. But Jesus doesn't run away. Jesus stays present to her and gradually wins her over. And so what follows in the conversation we read this long chapter 4 of John's Gospel this weekend is in fact a love story. Not a conventional romantic love story, but in fact a more profound love story of somebody coming to feel and experience the incredible love of God for them and respond from their heart, because that's what this Samaritan woman learns to do. That journey of going from zero to committed love relationship with God is a significant journey, and Christian author, Catholic author Sherry Weddell, in her book Forming Intentional Disciples, said that there are 5 thresholds that people have to go through in order to move towards true faith. And those 5 thresholds are trust, curiosity, openness, serious seeking, and commitment. And we can trace the journey of this woman in the Gospel today through those 5 thresholds. So let me say them again. Trust, curiosity, openness to change, serious seeking, and commitment. So let's begin then with trust. Sherry Weddell says that in order for somebody to come to ultimately to know God, they have to begin by trusting someone or something attached to the Christian message or to God. And that means for many people, that's going to be us. We have to be the bridge of trust towards others who don't yet know God and God's love. We have to be the one who is a credible witness whom people will look at and say, "I trust you because you're good to me, and I trust that what you want to tell me will be good and will be true." Well, the woman in the Gospel has to overcome her mistrust of Jesus first. But Jesus managed to do that by simply not reacting to her rebuttal, but staying present to her. And what he does, in fact, is his response is to say, if you knew who I was and who was asking you for water, you would ask me for drink and I would give you living water. And that elicits her curiosity, which is the next step. That for somebody to go to journey in faith means they have to become curious or fascinated about the Christian message and Christ himself. They have to be interested in what it's like for you as a follower of Jesus to be a Christian. What do you experience? How do you pray? And so this woman begins to say to Jesus, "You don't have a bucket, the well's deep, where would you get this water?" But Jesus has her hooked. He's engaged her and now she's on this journey. The next step is openness to change. And that's a really crucial one. It probably is the major turning point, because the openness to change is somebody saying, "I haven't got it all together. I'm not yet the best person I can be, and I need someone or something else in my life to help me be the best I can be." And we hear the woman in the Gospel say, to Jesus, "Sir, give me that living water so I don't have to keep coming back to this well." Jesus taps into her thirst and she acknowledges she has a hunger and a thirst for change in her life. Jesus says, "Go back and call your husband," to which she replies, "I haven't got a husband." That's also a moment of real vulnerability on her part and openness to change. At that point, I could take a bit of a sidetrack here and say these are not 5 literal husbands. Because you've probably heard sermons before, and I'm ashamed to say I've probably given them in many years past, where we say, "Look at this terrible woman. She's been married and divorced 5 times. She's an outcast in her society. That's why she's collecting water in the middle of the day when no one else is there." That's just not true. How could a Middle Eastern woman 2,000 years ago get away with being divorced and remarried like Kim Kardashian? That just obviously could not happen. So this is not literal husbands. The husbands are symbolic of something else. Well, what do these husbands represent? Well, in the Old Testament, there's often spousal imagery for God. And so there's often the relationship of God and God's people, Israel, and later Christ and his church, is often depicted as the love of husband and wife for one another. And so it really is in this gospel, the husbands represent gods, because the Samaritans had 5 false gods. You can read about that in 1 Kings, I think it's 19. I'll put the reference below. But the Samaritans had these false gods. And so the woman saying, for Jesus to say, you've had 5 husbands before, is to say, you've had 5 false gods. And the one you got now, you still haven't arrived. You still haven't got the true God. And so that means effectively what Jesus is saying to this woman is, go call your husband means go call upon your God. And her reply is, I haven't got a husband means I haven't got a true God. I don't have God yet. I'm open to change. I want to find God. This is probably the turning point for this woman in her relationship with Jesus. The woman goes on then to the next step, beyond openness to change, which is serious seeking. Now, serious seeking is different to curiosity, because curiosity is about you. It's about what's it like for you. But once you've gone through that openness to change, that serious seeking is saying, what would it be like for me? What would I have to do? How would I change? What would I gain? Most likely is the question we ask. What would I gain if I was to open myself to God and to follow him? And the woman reveals that in her heart. She says, I know the Messiah is going to come. Now that is a really profound statement of hope and longing, which says Messiah. So she actually is able to articulate to Jesus her desire, that she is seeking God. She is seeking to find a true God in her life. And Jesus is able to say, that's me. I am he who you're talking to right now. So the final of Sherry Weddell's 5 steps is commitment. It's wonderful to be trusting and curious and open and seeking, but at some stage we've got to land. We actually have to say, Jesus, I choose to follow you. I choose to commit myself to you. I make your values my values, and I want you to be in me and lead me in my life. At some point, that's the commitment which a Christian is asked to make. We don't hear the woman actually say those words in the gospel. It kind of happens off screen, because what we hear next is that the woman has gone out to her townsfolk and says, come meet this man who's told me everything. And they say, yes, we believe now, not because you told us, but because we know for ourselves that he really is the Savior of the world. So she's become very quickly a disciple and then a missionary, telling others and bringing others to Jesus. That is a wonderful, very, very compacted in this one chapter of the gospel, and a wonderful way of showing the entire Christian journey that leads us to make a commitment to Christ. This weekend in our parish, we are celebrating, in fact, 7 people who are on that journey themselves. Their names are Alexander and Reese, Melody, Lisa, Ken, and then Lisa's children will be doing as well, but also Adam and Melinda, who will be received in the church. And these 7 people have been journeying for the last 12 months or more towards making a commitment to Jesus by being baptized or being received into the church, into full communion, and then sharing communion. This is so exciting because we get to see in these people who this weekend were publicly blessed in a ritual called the Scrutinies in our parish, we get to see people who are doing what the woman in the gospel had already done, which is then a challenge for us and a reminder and a witness to us. Have I done that journey myself? Because Sherry Weddell makes the contention that many good people in our parishes have actually never done this journey. They've never actually gone all the way to say, I choose to follow Jesus Christ with all my heart. So if that's you, I invite you to recognize, where are you at on that journey? Are you trusting? You probably are if you're even watching this video or coming to church. Are you curious? Are you open to change? That's the big one. Are you open to change? Are you truly seeking to have Jesus in your life? And have you made that commitment to him yet? And if you haven't, keep on going. Keep on going, because the journey leads us to the loving arms of Jesus, and he gets to change everything in our lives.